Sometimes when things go wrong, you can't blame life. Cause when you shot your shot, what was your aim like? What were you targeting? Cause if it ain't right, and you still go with it, then that is on you. It's on you, it's on you, it's on you.
What's going on, you guys? This is Romi and Sam, and you are listening to the Mindset Rebooted podcast.
And if you are a first-time listener, thank you so much for stopping by. Here on the Mindset Rebooted podcast, we like to have conversations that help us to elevate the way we think. And what that means is that we have old ways of thinking that have held us back in the past, and we like to take on new ways of thinking that help us to maximize our full potential and to become the best versions of ourselves.
So if you get any value from our episode today, please make sure you share it with at least one person so we could help more people.
Yes, and today we are going to be talking about the dangers of comparing yourself to others, how it can result in you feeling inferior. So when I was coming up, I performed a lot from like the ages of 17 to, I don't know, whatever it was. But the point
is, as a rapper, he performed as a rapper. We have to, disclose.
We have to disclose. I mean, yeah, my skills is off the charts. So, but anyways, I was performing. But, as any performer knows, like when you first start out, you might be a natural in certain things, but you need to develop in other things. And I happened to be at this one performance in New York City, and some other acts who went before me, they were just absolutely amazing. They were seasoned, they had years of experience doing it right, and they were able to captivate the crowd. The crowd was following them, and here I am getting ready to follow some of these acts. And it was intimidating for me, but it was intimidating because I started to compare where I was then as a performer with where they were. And I thought that I should be able to do exactly what they were able to do. And so I was in my head, and I just started to kind of feel bad about myself. And so in comparing in that way, it wasn't healthy. But what could I have done to change that? What I could have done was, hey, so-and-so, that was such a great performance. What do you do to prep for your performances? Oh, you spend a couple hours every day rehearsing, doing this, doing that. Okay, nice, I need to implement that. So really, in that regard, what I would be doing is comparing for value so that I could close the gap in between where I currently was with where I aspired to be, as opposed to having a sense of entitlement, thinking that I should be where they were without actually putting in the same work that they put in.
And I think part of what you said, there's the inherent value of you learning something from that person and understanding that it's gonna take some time to start filling in that gap. I think a lot of people have that sense of entitlement, or they just aren't aware that everything takes time. There's no flip of the switch, all right, I'm good automatically, just because you told me the secret sauce, right? Coming off of the dance world, when I started teaching, and I saw someone else teach and they were phenomenal, I was like, dude, like your class flowed so well, so natural. And then they're like, it wasn't natural, bro. I worked on this. What are you talking about? It's funny how we always think people are naturally awesome, right? And it's like, no, they set it up that way, so it seems that way. So it seems awesome. And one of the takeaways I learned is like, hey, if you're gonna teach a lesson, you gotta know everything you're gonna teach in that lesson. You gotta make X, Y, Z is what everyone's gonna learn. And if they're learn it quick, then you gotta have A, B, C on top of that as a backup. And it's like, oh, so that's how it feels like you know exactly where you're going through a lesson. And it's write those down, taking notes, and it makes you just feel more confident when you start applying the knowledge that you learn from other people.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key part, is being able to apply that knowledge. Sometimes you can have certain blessings, but if you don't have the knowledge, or if you don't apply it, it just falls through. So like, for example, I remember seeing a lot of people coming up, and this happens every day, comparing, their financial status with other people's financial status. Like, oh yeah, this person, I should be having this money too, or look at what they do. They're not even really doing this or whatever like this. I work hard, I do this, that, and the third. But the thing is, if you're somebody who's bad with money, if you have debt, if I was to give you $1 million today, would you even know what to do with it? Or would you just burn a hole through your entire account? And I think that when you don't recognize that some of those people who are well off, if you don't recognize the knowledge that they've gained and certain moves that they've done over time, sure, from the outside perspective, you might look at them and feel inferior, and you might look at them and be like, hey, well, you know what, it's easy what they've done, I should be able to have that too. But until you fully understand exactly what they're doing with that money and the knowledge that they've gained, you're not going to really, do yourself a great service. So the point is that before comparing, make sure that you understand processes and humble yourself to learn so that you can apply that and get the desired result.
We were talking offline how we see a lot of people make comparisons with other groups, other organizations, other performing acts, and they start, you could tell that it affects their mood. It's not a good feeling. Like you said, you feel inferior when you see someone better than you and you're like, oh, I should be as good as them. This whole thing is to warn you that you don't have to feel that way. Instead, use that energy and that emotional capacity into bettering yourself, improving the product that is you or the product of whatever it is you do. It all comes from what you said, open mind, willing to learn and being humble, but also doing and making mistakes. One of the things that helped me get better, where people are like, Romi, you're so natural in teaching, is that I have gotten to so many times where I taught a lesson. And some of those lessons only had one person. A lot of those lessons actually had one person when I first started, right? And I was like, man, this sucks. I should be teaching 40 people, because like I had maybe one off experience where I taught a bigger class, and I didn't earn it yet, or I haven't been able to maintain that level of consistency. And so I had that entitlement. I was like, I should be teaching these big classes. I should be teaching, and I should be getting paid X amount. And when really, like, I didn't really know what I was doing. Like you said, if I had $1 million as a dance instructor, I probably would have spent all of it.
It's interesting that you brought up that you were willing to even teach, just a class with one person. I remember doing a performance myself where inside this one, I forgot what the setting was, but there was literally maybe like 1 or 2 people in the crowd that I was performing to. And I choked even while I was performing there. Like, that's the crazy part. I forgot lines.
I feel it's worse. Like it's mentally heavier to perform in a smaller group.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, that's true. But I also feel like that's the time you have to practice. You know what I mean? Practice in front of an audience. Because, we'll compare ourselves with other people who have these large audiences, but it's like when you have that large audience, just like if you have that large pot of money, whatever it is that you're coveting, would you know what to do with it, or would you mishandle it? And that's the danger of comparing yourself without actually comparing for value. When you're comparing just out of entitlement, that's the danger, is you will mishandle. And so in that moment, I was humbled because I recognized, I was like, oh snap, if I had this larger crowd that I thought I should have had, I would have bombed because of what I just did here. And I had some people in the audience kind of like, oh, dang, it's kind of bad, bro.
Secondhand embarrassment?
Yeah, it's like,
I hate that feeling.
Yeah, it's like, oh, and but it was good for me, because then it got to a point where as I performed later on, I became way more polished. And I also became what I would consider a chameleon, where depending on the setting, I was able to adjust my performance style. Because you mentioned it, sometimes with the setting of like 1 or 2 people, sometimes it's worse. I was kind of in my head thinking it was going to be a piece of cake, and then, oh snap, because you can clearly see that there's 1 or 2 people looking right at you like, what's up, bruh? And so, the point of this is that, over time, that experience even helped me. The humbling experience and being able to learn what I did wrong, and learn what to do next time. And I continue to add that to my bank of experiences, and it resulted in me being a polished performer.
And kind of to switch some gears, part of the comparison that helped me a lot in my journey as a dancer is taking away that emotional impact of how big your crowd is. Taking away the emotional impact of how awesome your venue is. You're there as a performer, you're hired to perform. So that's what you have in control of. That's what you control. So if you just focus on what you control, then your performance will be great no matter what. And I learned this when I was at Disney World. Because when you go to a resort, typically we think of a resort Friday, Saturday, or Sunday where it's packed hundreds, thousands of people watching a single show. But what about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, when there's very little people in the parks?
Yep.
The performances still happen.
Yep.
So is it a less quality of a performance just because there's not that many people? No. The performers, the production managers, they're like, you got to perform no matter what. Yep. You're going to be doing the exact same thing you're doing if you're in front of 1,000 people, in front of 5 people, in front of 20,000 people. I had the privilege to be part of the Anna, Elsa, Kristoff when Frozen first came out for their procession, their parade, their fireworks sing-along show and everything. Mm-hmm. And they packed out Hollywood studios. There's like 60,000 people just to see the nighttime fireworks show where Anna, Elsa interact with everybody, right? And during rehearsals, they had to do everything the same. With no audience, no crowd, they're still going full out at it. And because they did that, they took control of what they had in control of, and they just did the same thing when they're out there. The show always was great. Mm-hmm. Nothing stopped them. Like whether it was, again, thousands of people, hundreds, or even small handful. The show was the same because they took the emotion of the crowd of the venue away. They just focused on their skills, their product.
I really like that you said that, because that was actually things that I did myself when I would perform, when I would rehearse a few times a week for like a few hours, and I would perform it. I would rehearse in this one setting that it simulated almost like there was a crowd, but there wasn't, and it was awesome for me because I was able to polish myself, adjust myself. I was able to see how it was like to perform under conditions where the speaker was good, when the speaker wasn't good, things like that. I was able to make fine-tune adjustments by doing those different things, and so it really did pay off in the end. So that was the good thing, is that I was able to compare myself in different situations, and I was able to learn from those different situations.
I got nothing else to add on to this. Just to recap, like when you do those comparisons, just identify what are the things that you could have in your control, what are they doing, and then just be like, okay, learn off of it. Oh, dang, they did that on that stage. Oh, I think I could do that with part of what I'm gonna do. Oh, that's how they're holding the microphone, better quality is coming out. Let me try that real quick. So when we compare now, it's not a comparison of, oh man, they're badass, bro. I don't want to follow that act. What the heck? Why you got me? Why didn't you put me as an opener, bro? They should have closed.
Right.
Nah, I'm like, hey, you guys booked me to close, or you booked me further down the card. That means you have value in me. You see value in me.
Correct.
Now I'm gonna come up and I'm gonna give you that value.
That's such a great point. And to just add on a little bit to what you just said, not even just evaluating what somebody else is doing, but actually have a conversation with them. You can humble yourself to have a conversation with that person and ask them directly, hey, what is it that you're doing? A lot of times people are willing to share what it is that they did because they take pride in how they progressed and they want to share their experiences with others.
That's really good. We love talking about ourselves. Like, that's normal. And I have nothing else to say. I don't want to go on any random tangents. Anything else you want to add?
Nothing else I want to add. If you got great value out of this content, please make sure that you share and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms. You can also follow me personally and Romi personally on social media as well. And until next time, Mindset Rebooted.
Sometimes when things go wrong, you can't blame life. Cause when you shot your shot, what was your aim like? What were you targeting? Cause if it ain't right and you still go with it, then that is on you.